This podcast is certified fresh. FreshMediaWorks.com.
Welcome to the Montgomery ISD Athletics Show, where each week we share conversations about everything that makes MISD athletics so great. Montgomery ISD, in partnership with families and community, will graduate all students with the knowledge, skills, and leadership necessary to thrive as productive and responsible citizens. Athletics play a vital role in student success, promoting physical and mental well-being while developing essential life skills like teamwork, leadership, and resilience that benefit students far beyond high school. All right, well, everybody join me in welcoming Coach Brad LaPlante from Montgomery. So tell me about this transition because, you know, when we met, you were not at Montgomery.
That's right. So 11 years at Hutto, 11 great years at Hutto, and it was good for my wife, Christy, and her teaching job. It was certainly good for me and for my two boys because we'd travel a number of places between, Minnesota to Alvin to Manville to Mississippi, back to Alvin to then to Hutto. So it was great that my kids got to experience that for graduation and, having that mascot is awesome. And so Hutto is really, really good to us. But down the road, of course, we're in our mid to late 40s and we had always said, Lake Conroe would be a great place for us to retire. We had been there a number of times. Even I had taken my varsity football staff for a retreat. So when that job came open, a number of professionals knew that's where we wanted to land. And like, all right, why don't you go after the job now and get after it and go do that now. So that, of course, we're at a different stage of life because both of my boys are playing football at Northern State University in South Dakota. So in the midst of interviewing, I'm having to tell Cashton, who is graduating early in December, hey, we can't visit every school that you want because now I've been called about this job and I'm getting interviews. And he started January 13th, he started classes there with his brother, and then I started at Montgomery on January 15th. So everything was kind of a whirlwind, and it was stressful, but it was awesome. And I think everything that came to fruition certainly was God's plan, how it all laid out. So we're very happy where we're at.
I love it. And talk about the difference from one school to multiple.
Yes, you just have to be forward thinking. If you make a decision for one school, how does it affect the other? And that's that's natural. I think that's part of my culture building and leadership style is to think about stakeholders and how it does impact them. And we've got great leadership at both campuses. Pat Kennedy and Michelle Rochinski at Lake Creek, and then Grant Cooper and Brandy Wilkinson at Montgomery High School. So they've kind of shown me the ropes, and this is kind of what we've done, and this needs tweaking, and this is running great. And of course our superintendent, Dr. Mark Ruffin, great leader, awesome guy. He played baseball at UTSA, so he understands the value how the academic piece and athletics go hand in hand. Very great guy to work alongside, and we've just got a great community. We've got awesome kids. They're hard workers. We've had a number of playoff teams since I've been there already. Of course, our boys soccer team at Lake Creek made it to the semifinals, and I think they were good enough to win state. They just needed a couple more minutes or maybe one thing to go their way that didn't. And then the softball team at Lake Creek, of course, had a fine season. I think it was 37. And all ranked number one in the state and 5 in the nation on their way to the 5A state title this spring.
Wow. And talk about the schools themselves. Is it like, hey, we're Montgomery ISD, we're amazing, or talk about the rivalry?
Well, so you talk about the rivalry, and of course I'm looking at my official start date is January 15th.
Okay.
And then I start to look at the athletic schedule and kind of plan my first 2 weeks, and I notice, oh wait, Tuesday the 14th is Motown Showdown.
Oh.
Basketball teams, both girls and boys, played each other. So as much as I needed maybe one more day with Christy, I said, honey, I got to go early because I needed to know what that rivalry was. So I walked into both gyms where the girls and guys played that night, and I got a great look at it. kids played hard, but they respected each other.
Good.
And it was, I can't remember which game I ended up at, but even after the game, out by the concession stand in the hallway and vestibule area, parents from both sides congratulating each other's kids on how hard they played. And it didn't matter at that time who won or lost. So I think, of course, that Lake Creek, I think, was built in 2019.
Yeah.
We're talking about 2025. Some of the rivalry maybe has tapered down a little bit. And of course, each sport is going to be different. October 3rd is going to be our football game against each other. So that's certainly going to be a little bit different than a girls and boys basketball game than I was able to see. But I think there is a level of respect there, but they all have their own identity by sport and also by campus, which makes it unique and awesome all in itself.
So it's kind of like the brotherhood of coaches. The coaches are each other's best friends, but they're also, come Friday or come game night, that's your enemy.
Well, I think for that week, for football, that week building up to a 7:00 kickoff, I can just imagine some of the conversations that are going to be had, or the statements that are going to be made.
A little
whether
smack.
It's inside run game, or in the weight room, or whatever it is. And of course, for those 4 quarters, they're going to give it heck and try to kick each other's tail for sure. But then afterwards, again, there's that mutual respect because they know how hard the other side works, and that was a nice thing to see. As a girls or boys soccer program made it into the playoffs, the other side, I would get text, hey, where's their game at, and maybe see you there. So there is that support of each other while trying to beat each other.
Right, I got it.
For sure.
I got it. And besides the new job, there's a lot of other newness happening at the district. Talk about the construction, and everything that you're like, this is a lot.
Yes, no, it's a big job. It's awesome. It's great. It's coming into a lot of new things, and there's a lot of similarities coming from a 1 high school district to a 2 high school district. There's certainly a lot of changes as well. But we do have a stadium renovation going on right now, and so we're flipping the home and visitor sides.
Okay.
And so the visitor side, the current press box will still stay. It's getting some upgrades along with the elevator on that side. A new press box will be placed on the new home side. In the end, there will be 10,042 seats. And so each side will have a press box. So we feel that there's going to be adequate room for both home and visitor coaches, the game workers, to run a camera crew, to have home and visitor radio, and then maybe 1 or 2 live stream broadcasts. So just with our location there on the northwest side, we anticipate getting a few calls for some playoff games. And of course, we hosted, I think, 12 there the past 2 years at Hutto. So people know that I enjoy bringing in teams and taking care of those coaches and those players. But not only that, at the stadium, a new parking lot, another entrance. So there'll be 3 entrances to the stadium. And of course, that'll be different to get people in and out and see what the plan is going to be there. Having similar size locker rooms for the home and visitor, and then of course adding on a new bathrooms and concession stand there on the new home side. So I think it's an awesome time to be there with that change. And of course there's others going on, and we've restriped 3 tracks in the district since I've been there. We have new turf there at the stadium as well. So there's a lot going on, but that shows the commitment to excellence and how we're trying to be premier at Montgomery ISD, and it's just a great time to be there.
Yeah, and that was my next question about the community itself and the buy-in they have to fund all this stuff and to support it. Explain that.
And part of that, I think, is a 2019 bond that this is coming from. And I think we have 7 campuses right now that have construction going on in preparation for the school year. So the voting has proven that we want what's good for kids.
Right.
And so again, from me, on the outside looking in, when this all started last fall, that was proven. They also passed, as part of the bond, Proposition A. So that allowed the superintendent and our awesome administrative team to hire more people, give some raises along with that to say, we need more people around to support our kids.
Yeah.
So to have that separate proposition also voted on, showed a lot of things. But of course, we had the stats to back it, because nearly 50% of our kids at the UIL age are in some UIL sport.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great numbers. And I think, 5A D2, that's the sweet spot. It's a great place to be.
Yeah.
And we're growing. Everybody was complaining about the traffic down 105, and I said, well, I would go 4 miles in 40 minutes at Hutto, so we're not to that point yet, but we are growing, and I think that's exciting that there's new subdivisions going on, and okay, where is maybe a new middle school or a new elementary school, or okay, is one of these schools going to be 6A down the road? It's just new, it's fresh, it's exciting.
Cool. And one of the new things is we're going to be doing with the district a district-wide weekly show. And if you could talk about that, what the goal is for that.
Yes, I think, again, there are so many things going on within the district, but I want to showcase all of our sports.
Yeah.
I think our coaches do a great job. We've got a fine coaching staff from the middle school up to the high school. But when you're talking about 40-some weeks, to have the opportunity for our head coaches to talk about themselves and what they're building, the culture that's inside their locker room and what they're trying to do, and if they can showcase our kids, that's really what it's all about. So to have a district podcast to showcase our kids, I think that's great. It gets their names out there for recruiting and different things. And of course, there's going to be times the year where maybe not your star player gets to be emphasized, but it's a good week in the weight room, or they're that kid that's salutatorian or whatever it is. So I think it's just something that I wanted to bring to the table as part of showcasing our athletic department.
I love that. Tell me something I should have asked you that I haven't.
I think, one of the things, people have always asked me, why did you move? You had a good thing going. Why did you move? All right, so I'm going to showcase what I saw about Montgomery ISD. Okay, when you look at their social media, they're talking about Be Premier. They talk about home of state champions. They talk about being the best of the best. And a lot of that, to me, is about the process. Certainly, having a playoff team or a state champion team, that's the result. But as I dug into the job, it was how important everything and everyone is. Yeah. And so that was important to me. I felt the job that I wanted to do was just important to them. And even for me, academics are important to me. That's the kids' grades are getting them to the college that they want, the future job that they want. Certainly, if you're talking about athletics and recruiting, it's important as well. But I just thought a lot of things really aligned. And as I met more and more people in the room, of course, you go through 2 or 3 different rounds of interviews, and then you've got maybe somebody from Alvin that calls you and said, here's what I know about it. And then somebody from Clear Lake calls and says this, and then somebody from Magnolia, and you're going to be a good fit, and here's why. The stars just align to, I guess, what I want to do. I want to be somewhere where everything's important. And that's probably one of my faults, that I don't go in first gear very often. I'm always in fourth or fifth gear, because that's all I know, and I'm type A. But the caring and charismatic and hardworking people that we have within our district, it has been a match. Because I'll call our CFO, or maybe I'll call our superintendent or text them or send them an email and just say, hey, sometime this week we need to talk about A, B, or C. Well, the next thing I know, they're in my office. Hey, do you got time right now? Yeah. I do have time right now. Just that genuine stuff that if somebody gives me something to do, I always, I'm a kind of a checklist guy, and certainly it boils down to relationships and different things too. But so when I look at my inbox and there's 200 emails in there, I'm not taking care of that person. Yeah. It's important for me to take care of my people. So the fact that people are matching me in that, and they're going to take the time to come on down to my office and help kids and help our coaching staff. Okay, I knew I was in the right spot by the time that I got there. So everything that I knew before the interview, during the interview, and now being on campus with the type of people, the type of programs, the initiatives that we're trying to do, the support and community and great kids, it has absolutely been 100% truth, and so that's why it's been an awesome thing since January 15th. For sure.
I love that, and the transition from coaching kids and some coaches to just a whole bunch of coaches. What is that like?
It's certainly different, and of course, this spring was observation mode.
Yeah.
You walk into the middle school athletic period, you walk into the high school athletic period, you see the girls basketball game, the softball game, the tennis match. It was all about observation and just seeing how things were run and how people did a great job doing their job. This year will be more coaching the coaches, or more
right.
initiatives started and different things. So I'm excited about that, but whether it's a 16-year-old or a 36-year-old, you always try to meet them where they are. And I think a couple of the compliments I guess that I've gotten, some people have said, hey, in the first 4 months I've seen you a lot, so I can tell what I'm doing is important to you. I said, good, that's what it is. I'm there for support, because you can have an open door policy, but people aren't always going to call, email, or text.
Right.
But when they see you, you can have that meaningful face-to-face conversation about gym lighting or the parent, or whatever it is, to help them put their best foot forward to do a great job where they're at. And so I think people understand that is my nature of being present and being around and be at those games. And certainly I can evaluate a coach on game day, but I need to know what they're doing in meetings, the weight room, on the basketball court, whatever it is. So that's been a big goal of mine to build those relationships, and I think that's been reciprocated very well by my coaching staff.
Cool. Well, awesome. Montgomery has a good one in you for sure, and I know I'm going to look forward to our season together and many more to come.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's going to be a great 25-26 school year for sure.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Yes, sir.
Hey Coach, Lone Star Gridiron has been the leader in Coaches Show podcasts for 20 years, and now you can get your own Coaches Show podcast each week during the season as a fundraiser for your booster club. Yes, booster clubs all over are using these podcasts to help their sports programs. You get to share the stories of your program and your kids to a huge audience and make money. We started with just football, but this year have expanded to make them available for all sports. Call 713-269-4620 to find out the details and get your Coaches Show started.